First of all, look at the external culture, if we can use that term. Not like, bhakti yoga, but just the external culture, dress, cuisine, architecture, music style, and everything. At the time of Lord Chaitanya. What the Bhagavatam actually tells us is that when Krishna comes to this world, he comes, and this is quoting the Bhagavatam, nato natya dharojata, like an actor in costume. So we cannot look at the culture. Hare Krishna. We cannot look at the culture that Lord Chaitanya appeared in and take it to be anything like Vedic or eternal culture. I'll give you some examples. When Lord Chaitanya appeared, he would only take his meals in the homes of Brahmins. Why? Is that Vedic culture? No. It was just a social prejudice at the time. When Krishna appeared, same guy, but when Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, he took all his meals in the home and just showed Nanda. They were his parents, foster parents who were Vaishyas. But because he appeared in that culture, he adopted to it. Why did he dress a certain way? As a sannyasi, eternal Vedic culture? No, just the custom of the time. So, for example, Lord Chaitanya told Sanatana Goswami, you got to get rid of your, Gucci chadar, because he had this really expensive chadar. And yet when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada did exactly the opposite of Lord Chaitanya, externally. Internally, he did exactly the same thing. Prabhupada dressed in in silk and nice chadars. Someone gave him a Rolex watch and he wore it. Why? Because especially in India at that time, the culture had flipped. 500 years ago, you say you're a sannyasi, I better see your austerity. How come you're not wearing rags if you're a saint? But now in India, they worship wealth. And they worship, material progress. This whole post-colonial thing that's going on. So therefore, Prabhupada adopted. Lord Chaitanya had his 6 Goswamis, who Prabhupada personally told me the ideal sannyasis. They were dressed in rags. Prabhupada wore silk. Why? They're both pure devotees. They're both doing what it takes. So in fact, you cannot look at how Krishna, it's either Krishna 5,000 years ago, or we have very little explicit information, by the way. We know, for example, that when Krishna appeared, women didn't wear saris. We know that because the Bhagavatam says that they wore belts. You don't wear a belt with a sari. And the Bhagavatam says they had upper cloth and lower cloth. That's not a sari. The word dhoti is not a Sanskrit word. It doesn't appear in the Bhagavatam. So, and the Bhagavatam says, Nato natya dharojata. Krishna comes like an actor in costume. Krishna adapts to the world he comes to in many ways. In many ways. For example, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas from an impersonal sampradaya. Why? That was the accredited sannyas degree. Why did I go to Harvard? Because that was the accredited degree. I thought, okay, make hay while the sun shines. If I go there, people may take me seriously when I talk. So I did my graduate work there. So, because you can say, well, why don't you go to a Vaishnav university? Because there are none that are accredited. Lord Chaitanya actually recreated Vaishnav sannyas. When he took sannyas, it didn't exist, and he recreated it through the 6 Goswamis. So we can go right down the list, and I can show you all kinds of things that Lord Chaitanya did, his pure devotees did, not because it's eternal Vedic culture, but it's because that's what the world was doing. And so it's very interesting. It's ironic that devotees tend to take these adaptations, these cultural adaptations, where Krishna himself or his devotees are just doing what everybody else is doing, and then we look at it and say, oh, that's eternal Vaishnava culture. No, it's not. It's an adaptation to the world they lived in. I think before you came in, I gave loads of examples that I mercifully won't repeat, but showing even intellectually, linguistically, literarily, I can give you so many examples of how Lord Chaitanya's most intimate associates wrote books adapting precisely the literary conventions, the type of Sanskrit, the literary genres, all kinds of things which were popular back then. And why did they do it? Because they had to fit in. And so the history of Vaishnavism is not the history of transmitting an eternal, unchanging, timeless external culture. It's exactly the opposite. The history of Vaishnavism is the history of adaptation, of preserving the essence. The essence you preserve. You know, chanting Krishna's names, offering our food to Krishna, reading the Bhagavatam, associating with devotees. All that is totally non-negotiable. That's eternal. But what Prabhupada called a dead thing, that's what he called dress, a dead thing. He said we don't care about... So, you know, the ultra-conservative Prabhupada, who basically risked his life in the Jaladuta to get people to wear Indian clothes, you know, that's not the real Prabhupada. I can send you my papers. You're smart. I'll send you my papers. There are pages of Prabhupada quotes showing that the ultra-conservative Prabhupada actually doesn't really exist. Prabhupada is actually very... But it's just that there's this whole body of Prabhupada's very liberal, adaptive statements, which basically have just been filtered out of ISKCON discourse. And so I'm bringing them back because it's the liberal Prabhupada who gives us the agility, the flexibility we need to make this movement work. So it's a history of adaptation.